Hello. Yeah, I hope you're doing well. Okay. One moment, sorry. Just installing this little bit here. Yeah, like I said, earlier, I think it was, my fan that was, like, interfering somehow with, like, the noise suppression and making it really fucking weird. Now that I've added a compressor to everything, everything seems to be good, and I should now be deafening everyone anytime I bump my fucking table. So that's good. Going through the VOD, just the first VOD alone and like subtitling it, it's like there's so many little bumps. So many. And like, I don't know how people tolerated that, man. It was so bad. And now it's only picking up like bits of my fan, which is great. Because I don't have to like slowly die of heat anytime I start streaming, which is nice. But yeah, now that I figured the compressor thing out, um, it's much better. Like I can see it picking up like little tiny bits of my fan, but it's not horrible anymore. And it's also not having any issues picking up my voice anymore either, which was happening as well a lot. So yay for compressors. There. No, it's probably unfortunately still not going to pick up a whole lot of it, but um, it might pick up a little bit more of it now. So, let's see. hope someday I can, like, get to a point where, like, the shuffling noises are more audible, because I would like them to be. So, um, I'm debating if I want to just do collectives with the Empyrean, or if I want to use both. I feel like for the collectives, it might just be best if I use the Empyrean, but I will be using both decks for, like, the Q stuff, so... So, let's go ahead and do that then. Guess what card's on the bottom of the deck? I'm using the Empyrean currently, so no. Well, actually, no, there is a death card in the Empyrean. Fuck. Surprisingly, no. It's not abandoned. I hope that's not an omen. So hello, Beasto. I hope you're doing well. I hope your night goes better, though. Okay. Let's see what message the Empyrean has for us today. What message do we need to hear today? Well, it had 3 of them for us, I guess. First one is Vision. Yeah, that happens sometimes when we're overwhelmed. Second one is Define. The third is Flow. Oh no. Has it really been that long? Oh god. Beasto. Also, hello. Okay. Let's see here. So, bring this up here since we're using this deck. Okay. Vision is first, so it's on page 73. Vision says, even if we are in the darkest of places, vision can guide us out if we let it. It's no easy feat to hold on to something that feels abstract and so far out of reach. But the more we tend to our vision, the more it can become real. This card signals a potent space opening, where what you create in your head can be planted and grown more easily. Whether you feel like this vision is your last lifeline left, or you are just shooting for the next level, let the floodgates open. Live in this space as thoroughly as you can. Let it be woven into your cells, without expectation about the outcome, simply being with what you're building. Yeah, currently I'm doing collectives. I will be doing individuals later, though. I usually start off doing at least one or two collectives. So the first and the last line here are the two that stand out to me the most. Even if we are in the darkest of places, vision can guide us out if we let it. And the last line saying, let it be woven into your cells, without expectation about the outcome, simply being with what you're building. And also the part about this card signals a potent space opening, where what you create in your head can be planted and grown more easily. So essentially, this is a good time to figure out what you want, and to spend time beginning to put things into place. Not so much yet beginning to take action, but rather planning to take action. And first figuring out where it is you want to go exactly. What it is you want to do. The next card was Define. Define is on page 50. Define says, to define is to reach the space where you no longer have to weigh your truths trying to find some form of balance. To know yes from no. To be okay with all that you are, and all that you are not. To stop collecting what you love in others and trying it on like an oversized coat, hoping that it will be enough. Enough for what? To be as unsure as everyone else? We are all moving through this life, trying to make friends with the demons at our back. What if you knew your truth the way the ocean knows its tides? To let it settle into every cell in your body. To let it live so completely that a stranger can feel it on the street. To covet another's power is to insult our own. To always seek is shielding our gifts from the sun. To define is to let yourself be planted. It is knowing what is for you and what isn't, and being okay with it. no longer trying to be acceptable or what another needs. It is knowing that your power could split the sky if you let it breathe. Shed everyone else's skin, drop all distractions, close the casket of uncertainty. Run toward yourself. Let knowing crash into you. Set all that burns inside you free. The most important thing that I get out of this one is to be comfortable with yourself. To not compare yourself to anyone else, because everyone is different. And what is good for someone else may not be necessarily good for you. And that's okay. The last line there, particularly the last part of the last line about setting all that burns inside you free, also tells me to go with what makes you passionate. And if you don't know that, perhaps now is the time to figure that out. Also, the other part that stands out to me is essentially to recognize your own power. If anyone else needs to hear that, that's great. But I think that part in particular is for Lan, who is probably currently lurking. It's a message your guides give you a lot. The third card here is Flow. Flow is on page 61. Flow says, it's now become a luxury to pick up the paintbrush only when you want to. To begin writing out of inspiration. To design when you feel like it. Crunch numbers when you're feeling ready to tackle a puzzle. We live within the constraints of production, which has never been friendly to flow. Flow is magic. It's the siren song. Rain after a long drought. It's the meteor flashing through the night sky. It's not meant to be caught, bought, sold, or manufactured into mushroom blends by Silicon Valley. Flow is alignment. It's feeling so in tune with what you're doing, whether that's talking to a person or working on a project, but you're absolutely fully in the present. It's when we abandon the grit and discipline and deadlines that we can feel the heartbeat of the moment. We can move with it and make it work with us. The medicine of flow is learning to embrace the practice of finding the friction and chipping away at it little by little, rather than taking a sledgehammer to it, insisting it get done. It's deciding to walk forward with your heart open and tapping into the spirit of what you're working on, asking what it needs from you. Well, that one was definitely meant for me. Oof. If anyone else needed to hear that one, um, I'm sorry, the card got a little roasty. The part that sticks out about that one is to essentially go with the flow, essentially, as is in the name there. If you want to work on something or there's something that you want to do, and you have the ability to do that, go do that. It's useless to keep pressuring yourself into doing something because that's not going to make you want to do it anymore. That's going to be very counterproductive, in fact. If you keep pressuring yourself, you're not going to want to do it anymore, and eventually you're just not going to do it. Putting pressure on yourself to perform and do things perhaps you don't really have the capacity to do isn't going to accomplish anything other than just making you feel worse and making you feel guilty. So, yeah, if anyone needed to hear those messages, any of those messages, I hope they helped you in some way. Especially if you got roasted by that last card there, I'm sorry. So I apologize. I'm probably going to be like clearing my throat a lot and probably being like very sniffly. I'm not sick. My sinuses are just being butt munches. So okay. Um, hmm. I think I'll ask it one more time. See what it has to say. Okay. What message do you have for those who might be watching currently? You already popped out that card. And apparently you really wanted someone to pay attention to Vision, so yeah. Vision. Where did that card go? So Vision here. Let's see what page it was on here. Put it back up again. There we go. Let's see. Vision says, even if we are in the darkest of places, Vision can guide us out if we let it. It's no easy feat to hold on to something that feels abstract and so far out of reach, but the more we tend to our vision, the more it can become real. This card signals a potent space opening, where what you create in your head can be planted and grown more easily. Whether you feel like this vision is your last lifeline left, cannot talk today apparently, or you are just shooting for the next level, let the floodgates open. Live in this space as thoroughly as you can. Let it be woven into your cells without expectation about the outcome, simply being with what you're building. Englishing is indeed hard, yes. Also, I hope your sandwich was delicious. What I got out of this one the first time, what stood out to me the most was particularly the first and last line. Even if we are in the darkest of places, Vision can guide us out if we let it. And then the last part, let it be woven into your cells without expectation about the outcome, simply being with what you're building. And also the part in the middle there that says this card signals a potent space opening where what you create in your head can be planted and grown more easily. Essentially, perhaps it's time to sit and figure out where you want to be going. This isn't quite a time for action, more so a time for planning, I feel like. Figure out where it is exactly you want to go, making a plan for that, and then taking action. Yeah, I asked. Yeah, sometimes this deck can kind of be a little bit punchy. I definitely got a little roasted by the last card there, so I feel ya. I got what you meant. It's funny, I feel like particularly that first card for you. I think the second card was for Lan, and the last card, the third card, was for me. I think I think we all got a little roasted. A deck certainly came out swinging. Yeah, that happens sometimes, especially when things go wrong, and we become a little bit overwhelmed. Sometimes it's easy to of lose sight of the end goal. Okay, let me ask it again. Yeah, I definitely get that feeling. Today wasn't the best day for me mentally either, initially, but I was able to eventually work through it. Though having, like some good friends to fall back on and do shit with is very helpful. Just Just before stream here, I was actually playing Diablo 3 with my friends, so. So, that was a nice distraction. Okay. Let's try this again and see what else it has to say here. Hopefully it doesn't pop out another card that we've already got. Okay. What message do those who might be watching need to hear today? They decided to give us 3 more here. First one here is ending. The second one here is thread. The third card is Earth. I have a feeling this one is for you because I know what the message of this one is. How fitting. Yeah, that one's for you. I know what that one says. So okay, so the first one was ending. Ending is on 26. So, ending says, there is always a rebirth with every ending. But this card is not about that. Too often we try to dress up endings in soft language that makes it more palatable and easier to swallow because somewhere in our minds, we believe we are not strong enough to handle it. Do not dare think that you are too soft to live through any ending. Bathe in the ash of the ending. Let the full force of it hit you. Feel the weight of it. Stand within it. Acknowledge it for what it is, or what it was. Not all endings live fresh within us. When we have the courage to stand in the nothingness that is the end, we are putting on armor. When we face it again and again, we become life itself. Nothing can be stripped from us. We are everything and nothing at the same time. We see, truly, that there is no ending or beginning, only what is. So, particularly, the word here, just a single word here that stands out the most to me. The most important part of this is rebirth. There is something here, perhaps, that needs to be let go of. And along with that comes a change, perhaps a massive one that we're afraid of facing. The key word here to remember, though, is rebirth. That this is a rebirth. We will come out on the other side of this stronger. The second card is thread. Thread says to bind, to weave, to hold. Let the layers of your life spill out. Lay them out on the table. Sit with the gifts they bring you. The moments that have transformed you. The power you were born with. The pains you have endured. It is time to weave them together in a new way. Our lives are never-ending patchwork quilts that we get to tend to. Thread is letting you know that you already have enough fabric to keep yourself warm. We may struggle to make sense of the pieces of ourselves. We question whether they can truly get us where we want to go. Our stories often don't look right on paper. It can feel like we're applying to a job we aren't qualified for. Like the interviewer looking over our resume asking, "How does being a stay-at-home mother prepare you for management?" Do not chop your life up to make it palatable. Do not disrespect your experiences by haphazardly forcing them into a box they don't belong in. Let your life be wild roots, sprawling across the forest floor. An ignorant person may walk through the woods and be naive enough to think that the plants exist separately from one another. But we know that they are communicating with each other all the time. Your experiences and strengths, no matter how different from one another, are brought together in each new moment. Each being a piece connected to your epic tale, or in your epic tale. Keep stitching them all together. Wrap yourself up in the story of your life, knowing it is always enough. Hmm. That last part is the part that sticks out the most to me. Perhaps whoever needed to hear that message, perhaps you've been doubting yourself a little bit. Perhaps you've been thinking you don't have what it takes or you're not enough. But you are. You. That goes with the second card that we got in the earlier. What was it? Hold on. Define. Yeah. I feel like that one also goes with define. So whoever needed to hear that one, um, yeah. You've been worrying that you're not enough for something. You are, and don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Be yourself. If anyone has a problem accepting that, they can go fuck themselves. They're the problem, not you. Imposter syndrome, yeah. I definitely understand that one. I'm sorry if that's something that you're dealing with. I know how much that can suck sometimes. If that is something that you're dealing with, just know that whatever it is that you're having imposter syndrome over, just know that it's important to you. You are enough. You are good enough. You do have what it takes to do whatever it is that you're hoping to do, whatever it is you're hoping to accomplish. I can't really speak to anyone else on, like, how particular, like, they deal with that, or, like, where exactly that might stem from, but mine particularly essentially came about because growing up I was always told that I wasn't enough. My worst bully wasn't my peer, it wasn't like someone in my peer group. It was my mother at home. So if you're dealing with a similar situation because of that and because of the way you grow, of the way that you grew up, just know that it's a lie. Whoever told you that is wrong. They only told you that because they themselves were miserable and they couldn't handle anyone else being more successful than them or being better than them. They were wrong. They will always be wrong. Okay. So the third card is Earth. Earth says, our spirits weren't made for this place. Like mismatched lovers, unable to fully meet each other's needs. We still try. We carry on making the most of our gravity-bound blink of the eye time. Earth is a language we are still learning how to speak. Clumsily trying to translate our spirit's fire into words that can be understood. A picture that can be felt through a screen. The cosmic joke is that the puzzle pieces will never quite fit together. We will still close our eyes at night, trying to quiet the questions that don't make sense here. The medicine of this place is rooting where you are, adapting to the density. Chewing over the unknown but not letting it annihilate you. The Earth teaches us how to make do. Like being on a stranded island and figuring out how to make a spearhead out of stone, a raft out of buoyant wood. It's imperfect. A sliver of the potential, what we learn. Some overshoot and destroy, extracting and building with no real purpose. Others become paralyzed, fading away. The lesson here is learning to walk into the storm and not look for an axe or a getaway car. It's knowing it will be millennia before we strike the right chord, but we get creative anyway. We clench our fists and fight anyway. We soften our hearts and love anyway. We let our lives be a prayer for the future, for the you and me that will be here again soon. We seek to remember on our trips to this place, and we make friends with the idea that we can't. But we try anyway. Most important part about this card. Keep trying. Mhm. Yeah. The important part of that being to keep trying. Mm-hmm. Pretty much. And also, I can't say for sure if the other two weren't for you, if they resonated with you in any way. Maybe, maybe they were, but right away, when I realized what card this was, I knew that this one was for you with what you were just saying beforehand. Um, because this is a card that does tell you to keep trying. So, okay. Okay. I think that's enough collectives. So, yeah. Well, if it didn't resonate, don't worry about it. Probably, probably wasn't meant for you. Sorry, I opened Q now, so. My left leg is already starting to cramp a little bit. Okay. Sorry, trying to stretch my leg really quick. Yeah. Okay, let's get these out of here. Okay. But yeah, the queue is open now. If there's anyone who is waiting for that to open, it's open. You can join now. So, since 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 we did collectives with the Empyrean, I guess I'll give you a choice. Um, so you can each like individually make a choice. Um, would you like the Oracle deck that I use to be the Empyrean? This one, the one that I was just using. Or would you like either of these two here? The one up top here is Moonology. The bottom one here is Work Your Light. So since you're up first, 69, is there one in particular here that calls to you more? Oh, you're good. Yeah, is there one that calls to you more? Okay, well, I will say this, not that the other decks don't also have their own powerful meanings, but if you want something that perhaps might be a little bit more powerful, the Empyrean, the Oracle deck that I've been using so far for the collectives, the readings with that one can be a lot more powerful and a lot more punchy. Sometimes, unfortunately. But yeah. So if you'd like that, I can stick with the Empyrean, if that sounds like something you'd want. Otherwise, I'll probably use the Moonology deck. So does the Empyrean sound better, or do you just want something that's perhaps not quite as at risk of being kind of punchy? Also, hello. Okay. Okay. Um, Well, we'll see what we get out of the tarot deck first. If I feel like perhaps the Empyrean is called for, I'll pull from that one. I'll use the Moonology deck for now. What message does 69 need to hear today? Okay. Okay. So, you got the Knight of Wands reversed here, the Eight of Swords, the Seven of Swords, and the Hermit. Like this here. So, with these, what I'm getting out of it here is, that you're probably feeling a bit, anxious here. Maybe a bit on edge. And dealing with some not so great emotions currently. And perhaps that's led you to isolating yourself a little bit. So, what I'm getting out of that is that, this is probably obviously something that you need to work to change. Sorry. Shoot, I didn't grab any Kleenex. Starting to get, like, sniffly and stuffy again. His allergies are acting up. Yay. Um, let me let me pull you like a few more cards here and see if they maybe have some advice with how you could perhaps deal with that a little bit. What I'm getting out of this currently is that maybe embodying the upright energy of this card is something that might be a bit helpful here, but that doesn't really offer that being like passionate and like youthful energy essentially. But obviously that's not really that helpful. So let me pull you a couple more cards here and see if they have any suggestions for what you could do to help kind of pull you out of this not so great headspace. Well, that was kind of a direct answer. Maybe one that might not be the best to hear. The card that immediately popped out here is the Devil, which is essentially kind of telling you to get out of your own way, which is easier said than done. As someone who suffers from anxiety, I know that's quite hard to do sometimes. I guess let's see what the Oracle deck has to say here. Maybe that'll offer a bit more, maybe that'll offer a bit more helpfulness here. Also, one other thing though. Another feeling I'm getting here too, with the Devil and the Hermit being here together now. Essentially that also might be asking you to perhaps reflect inward on yourself and like sit with yourself a little bit and maybe figure out what exactly is like causing these issues, and maybe that'll give you some guidance on where you could kind of change things. So let's see what the Oracle deck has to say here. I'm gonna use the Moonology deck right now. What further insight do you have? It popped out a few cards here. Oh, I'm sorry. That's alright. Thank you for stopping by, though. It did just pop out a few cards, but it spit out like 6. So, shuffling again to see which ones of those are more important. If it really wants you to hear them, we'll just give them all. Okay. Let's get you another one here. The card here that it gave you is First Quarter Moon. Let's see what that one has to say. Okay. So, First Quarter Moon says, there could be some challenges coming your way, but they're just the universe's way of testing you. The First Quarter Moon calls for you to face any hurdles with confidence. What do you actually think is possible? If you believe you can do it, then you probably can. If you spend your life affirming that something is too big for you to surmount, it probably is. See how it works? Do you believe your dreams will come true, or have you secretly already given up? Showing some commitment now will help you move towards your desired outcome. What you believe to be true is true for you. So believe in yourself. In other words, if you believe it won't happen, and you keep telling yourself that it won't happen, it's probably going to become a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it won't happen. Sometimes believing that something is possible and believing in ourselves can help us accomplish things sometimes. Like, the part here that sticks out the most to me is, do you believe your dreams will come true, or have you secretly already given up? Yeah, I know that feeling. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that right now. I know all too well what that can be like. But sometimes we have to remember that there will be an end to things. It won't be forever. We have to believe that things will change, that things will improve. Because if we continue seeing things in a negative way, that's not going to accomplish anything. Other than confirming our fears. And I know that is much easier said than done. So we just have to remember. We have to remember that it won't always be that way. And we do have to believe that things can change. And to believe in ourselves. And believe that we can eventually get out of that. Sometimes that can be the first step in working to change things for the better, is actually changing our mindset. And again, I know that is much easier said than done. As someone who has suffered from anxiety and depression since early childhood, I know that is extremely hard some days. But sometimes being in that constant state of negativity is what's draining us the most. That's of course not saying that everything always needs to be positive 100% of the time. And that, you know, you should be like ignoring all the negatives in your life. No, that's also not good for anyone. That's just toxic positivity. It's okay to feel those feelings. It's okay to not feel okay. But we also do need to hold out a little hope sometimes. Also, hello, Big Austin. But yeah, I hope that message helps in some way. The most important part of this being that sometimes we need to get out of our own heads. Sometimes we get too caught up in that and we just become consumed by that. Of course. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for joining the queue. Like I said, I hope that helps in some way, and I hope your night goes a little better, and I hope that things improve for you soon. Um, I wrote a little bit about it in my About section. Um, I started tarot, and the way that I particularly use tarot in, like, my personal use, is I use it as a tool of self-reflection. The way that I interpret certain things, and I view certain things, sometimes is a good indicator of what my current mental state is in that moment. And something I didn't realize when I first began is actually that that's actually used in the field of psychology. Actually, tarot is used. Tarot is used as a form, like a form of like a test, kind of. I I didn't know this when I started it. Um, but particularly there's a like a portion of like the field of psychology, or a subset in like the field of psychology, that essentially uses tarot as a test of sorts, because like the symbolism used in all the cards can be interpreted in different ways depending on current mental states. That in particular is connected to Carl Jung, which is like one of the grandfathers of the field of psychology. I'm not a scientist now. Though I did study in the field of computer science. Particularly with a focus in programming and eventually networking. And together, both of those things will be used to essentially push into the field of cybersecurity. So, very much still involved in, like, that side of things, yes. But, like I said in, like, my About section, I don't really believe that these two things have to be, like, mutually exclusive. schools of thought, a lot of people do believe they have to be, but a lot a lot of people also just completely a lot of people like don't even realize that they already kind of do believe in like some they do carry like some odd beliefs in like some way, like the example that I gave in like my about me section, um that like scientists working in lab settings, so many of them have stories about like odd superstitions or beliefs or like rituals that they do in like their labs. Essentially, like the field is kind of, you know, like known for being underfunded, so they often don't have like the resources that they need. They're like using outdated technology. And so they'll essentially like do these odd exactly. They do these odd things to get like the desired results or to like essentially doing whatever it is they can to make sure that the tech they're using continues to function while they're doing whatever testing they need to do so that it doesn't like skew the results or fuck it up like entirely. Like like essentially like I've known of examples of like people creating shrines around like old tech, essentially praying to the tech gods that this machine continues running, continues holding out while they're performing this test, so that they can just get the fucking work done. And some of these same people will be the people that will turn around and discount other things, other like superstitious beliefs or other beliefs that don't align with theirs because it's not based in science. As if theirs are any different. Like, I don't believe that they have to be like mutually exclusive schools of thought. It's okay if you don't believe in these things. Just don't shit on anyone else for believing in them or enjoying them. That's not your decision to make. You don't get to tell someone else what they can and can't do with their own lives and what they can and can't believe in. That goes in either direction. Like, obviously, there are some beliefs that are clearly harmful. Those are pretty obvious. But for, like, belief systems like this, belief systems like most forms of, like, spirituality, or, like, even religion, like, there are so many people, especially these days, and I say this as a non-religious person, by the way. I do not like organized religion. At all. But there are so many people these days who are just like, well, religion shouldn't exist. People should just stop believing in this. You don't get to make that decision. That's not yours to make. If they're not harming anyone, if they're not appropriating cultural practices that aren't their own, and if they're not harming themselves also, that's not your decision to make. You can't tell someone else what to do and what not to do. But, like, on the other side of that, too, like, I do know quite a few people who, like, work in the field of science, in, like, various fields of science, who do believe in, like, things like this. Believing in this sort of thing doesn't mean you have to believe in, like, the more, like, out there aspects of it. Again, like, with tarot as an example, tarot is essentially just a system of universal symbols that almost everyone can recognize. Even if you don't, it's something you can pick up pretty easily, honestly. It's a tool that can be used for many things. You don't necessarily have to believe in the spiritual aspect of it. But, I've known plenty of people who do work in various fields within science who do. Or who are willing to be open to that sort of thing. And that's my approach to pretty much anything that isn't, like, obviously harmful to other people or themselves or whatever. That's pretty much my approach to, like, most things, is just to remain open about it. Just because I don't believe in something, or I don't like something, or whatever, doesn't mean that someone else can't. And I'm not going to actively shit on them for having different beliefs than me. But anyway, uh, you're up next, Beasto. Yep. Again, like, as long as it's not harming someone else. And if you believe in something different than I do, that's fine. I may not understand it, but I don't have to. The only thing I have to do is accept that that's a part of you. And not be an asshole about it. How your next week might go. Yeah. This will be the first time I've really done anything like that. For anyone else. But yeah, no, that's fine. I will say though, like, another bit of a disclaimer here. The way that I view that sort of thing is, in particular, that it is I view that as a possibility of potentially many. I don't believe that, like, for instance, if there's anything in a reading that you ever get that you don't agree with, if there's anything in a reading that you get that doesn't quite resonate with you, or doesn't quite sit right with you, or whatever, the important part to remember is that nothing is set in stone. You always have the power to change that. So if something pops up in a reading that you don't like, just remember that is something you can change. Just a bit of a disclaimer before I do, like a reading for like a week ahead. I just view that as a possibility, and many things can happen that can change that in between now and then. So. But yes, that's fine. Mm-hmm. I only say that because, in my experience, I know that's not everyone's approach. And I just want to be upfront about that, because I am not one of those people that fully believes in, again, like, everything just being, like, set in stone. Okay, how might Bestows weak. Good. So, first one you got is the Nine of Cups reversed. The second one you got is the Four of Cups reversed. The third is the Wheel of Fortune. And then the King of Cups reversed. Queen of Coins. Justice. Yeah, yet another cup. Yep. A Knight of Cups. And the Lovers. So. Not necessarily a bad thing. Particularly with the three major arcana cards that popped up here, all being upright. Essentially, what I'm getting out of this currently is you are dealing with some with all of these cups cards being reversed, you're very clearly dealing with some not so great emotions. And things emotionally probably aren't really going in your favor right now. Is the gist of what I'm getting out of that. But the thing that I'm getting out of this, particularly with the major arcane cards, is essentially the scales will start to tip in your favor. Like, letting go of these negative emotions here. And letting go of these negative emotions here, essentially. I guess it just really wanted to emphasize that because it gave you so many cards. So many cups cards. But with a little persistence and some work, essentially, just keep holding on. But, these three here, I believe, are the most important here. These are just in the background here, okay? These three are the most important here. Particularly with these three cards here, the Wheel of Fortune, Justice, and the Lovers, all in some way being about balance. Essentially breaking the cycle, balancing out the scales, or tipping the scales, and balance. What I'm getting out of that is that if you remain persistent at it here, you can essentially, again, break the cycle, tip the scales, and balance them in your favor. So, it's pretty much the energy that I get from those specific three major arcana cards being present. And with Justice also being there, what I feel like that one also might be trying to tell you is that maybe you'll begin recovering from a situation that perhaps wasn't the most fair to you. So, essentially, hopefully your upcoming week here will be a little bit more in your favor, essentially. And you might actually start to recover from these negative feelings and essentially rebalance yourself in the coming week if you work at it. Don't know if you heard that. My stomach just growled at me super loud. Yeah. Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah. Also, one second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I knew I forgot to grab something. I usually try to grab snacks before I start streaming in case my stomach decides to yell at me while I'm in the middle of a stream. And of course, the one time I forget them, my stomach is like, hey, the heck? So I grabbed a pouch of fruit snacks. By the way, yeah, as soon as I'm done with this one here, I'll probably do like another short collective. And then call it. So yeah. But yeah, by the way, if anyone out there is a fan of Gushers fruit snacks, I highly recommend these. These are delicious. Yeah, The best fruit snacks, yes. These are essentially their version of Gushers. They have like a liquid in the inside of them, and because they're Welshes, they're all flavored naturally, so they taste a hell of a lot better. Highly recommend them if you like Gushers, but you don't like fruit snacks that just taste like sugar and mildly of fruit. Anyway, let's pull your oracle card here. You want me to use the Moonology deck? Since you got a couple cards from the Empyrean earlier? Okay. What further insight do you have? Oh, wow. I wish that was on camera, because that one flew. Holy shit. That one, like, shot up and nearly hit me in the face. It's kind of rude card. You got South Node. Don't let your past hold you back. Sorry, let me show my fruit snacks, forgot to open them. South Node says, the South Node, like the North Node, is a karmic point. But it's the opposite to the North Node, and relates to the past. Perhaps even to past lives. Whatever you're going through, and whatever you're asking about, there's a chance that that age-old programming and conditioning is stopping you from achieving all that you might. Do you feel stuck in something? This card will often come as a sign that the situation or relationship you're asking about has somehow become suffocating, even toxic. It suggests that someone, you even, needs to be released, that there's some kind of addiction going on, or an unhealthy attachment that needs to be sorted out. One thing is for sure, when you get this card, you're being challenged to make some changes. Even if staying where you are feels safer and easier. There's part of this that wasn't in the original card. or like the meaning here. It's like down in a different section in this page that I want to point out because I feel like that's what it's trying to get across here. So this part down here kind of explains what the south node is. Right there, it says, the south node is the karmic astrological point that reminds us of the well-known phrase, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And I feel like that fits particularly well. Oh no! Okay. I'll read the entire thing again. That's okay. South Node says, the South Node. No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. The South Node, like the North Node, is a karmic point, but it's the opposite to the North Node. Or it's opposite to the North Node, and relates to the past, perhaps even to past lives. Whatever you're going through, and whatever you're asking about, there's a chance that age-old programming and conditioning is stopping you from achieving all that you might. Do you feel stuck in something? This card will often come as a sign that the situation or relationship you're asking about has somehow become suffocating, even toxic. It suggests that someone, you even, needs to be released, that there's some kind of addiction going on, or an unhealthy attachment that needs to be sorted out. One thing is for sure, when you get this card, you're being challenged to make some changes, even if staying where you are feels easier and safer. The part here that stood out to me, though, is a part that's not even in, like, that whole, like, part about the meaning. The part that sticks out the most to me. Though there is another part there that does stick out to me. The part about whatever you're going through and whatever you're asking about. There's a chance that age-old programming and conditioning is stopping you from achieving all that you might. You feel stuck in something. But the part that sticks out the most to me, and I feel like the part that's most important, is a part that's further down in this book, on this page, that kind of explains what the South Node is. It's this part down here at the bottom. I hope that's focused. The South Node is the karmic astrological point that reminds us of the well-known phrase, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. I feel like that's the most important part of that. And that fits in really well with the rest of the cards here in the reading, particularly with this one here. So, essentially, breaking this cycle, breaking those old patterns. I feel like that's the most important part there. The South, no. But I feel like it ties in to the Wheel of Fortune here. Like, some... Again, like, easier said than done. But some old thought patterns um some old thought patterns or like patterns of like behaving or like operating. Sometimes we get to a point where, especially when we begin to try to grow and change, eventually we're going to get to a point where we start identifying some of those old patterns. And it becomes time to release them. Because sometimes they can hold us back. But yeah, I hope I hope that message helps in some way. And I hope things do start improving for you. And I do hope that your upcoming week, uh, starts getting better. That you are able to start improving things. Yeah, so yeah. Oh, so that other card there may have been for you. There was another card earlier while you were making a sandwich, I think you said. Um, there was another card that popped up after Vision. Um, that you may want to go back and take a look at. After I end the stream here, I usually, the way that I have stream set up currently, I manually publish the VOD. So I have a chance to review anything if, like, anything happens that goes wrong. Um, so, after I end stream here, I'll publish the VOD. So if you want to go take a look at that, and maybe see if there's something in that message for you later on when you have time. And that other message may have been for you. I think it was define. But also, speaking of VODs, by the way, I haven't posted it anywhere yet on Twitch because I don't have anything up on it yet, but I'm working on that. I've been slowly trying to work my way through subtitling them all because I do want them to be subtitled. Especially since the audio quality of a couple of my early streams were, like, fucking terrible. So, I am working on also publishing my VODs to a YouTube channel. Just specifically for my VODs. It's not for anything else. It's just for VODs for people who want to actually go take a look back at things, if they ever want to look back on readings. Along with that, I'm also trying to compile a list that I can also link as well, so people can go back and look where they've had readings, so they also don't have to go do any searching. That also helps me as well. So I'm working on those things currently, but I will eventually be posting a link to the VOD channel once I actually have things present there for people to actually go visit. But, like, in the future, if you ever get a reading and you want to be able to, like, take a look back at those readings for whatever purposes, once they disappear on Twitch, they will be available on that YouTube channel. And I'm also working on subtitling them as well, so that they'll be viewable to anyone, and also, like, audible. Because, like, the audio quality of my, like, first few streams was awful. It should be a lot better today, because, I finally figured out how to set up a compressor and what settings were necessary. So, should no longer be at risk of blasting out your eardrums anytime I bump my table. But, yeah. I've only had a noise suppression filter on it, up until, like, now. I knew that a compressor was necessary, I just didn't know, I knew I would have to take a little time to actually fiddle with it. I finally did that today, so finally figured that out, and it should be good now. So, yay! But, yeah, so, that is something that I'm working on, by the way. Yeah. So I am working on, like, putting that together and also subtitling it. Since audio quality for, like, early streams, like, the first few early streams was awful. But, I'm working on subtitling it for those purposes, and also so, like, that people who might be hearing impaired can also follow along with it. But, because I have experience with that. It was something that I did when I worked in, like, an IT job at a college. That was something that I was responsible for, like, for doing, was actually captioning people, or captioning videos for people who were hearing impaired. So I have experience with that. It's not something that, you know, like most people enjoy, but because they find it mind numbing and they need to take like frequent breaks. Um, I don't mind doing it. It's somewhat relaxing to me actually. So I'm slowly working on like subtitling the first stream. Like all streams are private currently because I do want to try to have subtitles available before I actually publish them. But just for future reference, if there's any time that you ever want to go back and return to things, once they are gone here on Twitch, I will be posting a link at some point once I actually have some VODs up. I will be posting a link to the VOD channel so that people can go back and review readings if they want to reference them and like see how that went. And along with that, like I said, I'm also working on putting together a like searchable list so people can go find like when they got readings with a link to the VOD with a timestamp. So also another thing I'm working on. But yeah, so but yeah, so I hope that reading helped. Sorry for the tangent there. But yeah. uh, I hope that helped in some way, and I hope things do get better. Yeah. I'm also just someone who gets easily distracted, so. And what should be a simple story just kind of turns into a jumbled mess. Yeah, it's actually something I need to eventually get tested for, because there are a lot of signs that are pointing towards ADHD being a possibility. So, yep. I just need to figure out a place that actually accepts my coverage. Yay. Ugh. Anyway. But yeah. You too. I hope your stream goes well. And with that, I think it's time for me to also head out anyway. So, regardless of if you joined queue or not, or you just hung around and just lurked in the background, regardless, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I hope you have a good rest of your night. If it wasn't going great for you, I hope it improves. And I hope to see you all again soon.